Okay, today we are unboxing and setting up a brand new fiber laser from BWM. The first thing we need to do is remove the lid on this very secure crate. You will need a couple of tools to make the job easier. I'm using a flathead screwdriver and a pair of pliers. And I'll also be using a hammer so I can bend the tabs up nice and straight so I have the ability to reuse the crate at a later date. So that's our first tab done. Now we need to go around and do all of the other tabs. So pop your screwdriver underneath, grab your pliers, bend them upwards, and then if you want to, you can use a hammer to straighten them out a bit better. I find that putting your pliers behind the tab and then tapping on the other side will straighten them out nice and neatly. So just like that, we have all of our tabs straightened out. Now the best way I found to remove the lid from this point is pop your pliers just under the lip of the lid, give it a couple of taps with the hammer, and it will slide right up over those tabs. Now once you have your lid off, the first bit of contents you should find and remove is the base plate to your laser. So I'm just cutting this upside down. This material is extremely durable. If you're careful, you won't even scratch it. So take off the plastic and foam wrapping. It's very well packaged. And we'll just flip that over and put it in place where we are going to install our laser. The next thing we're going to do is remove the hex bolts that mount our 800mm motorized tower. Now getting back to our crate, there's a whole bunch of extra packing material to remove that keeps your laser nice and safe. And the next thing we need to do is carefully cut away the packaging to our main laser source and tower. This is our 800mm motorized tower. And we have a bunch of goodies wrapped up in here. It's everything you need to set up and operate your laser. It's got a bunch of tools in there as well. We'll go through that a bit later. The next thing we need to do is remove the front of the crate by bending the same tabs on each vertical side, pretty much the same way you did the top lid. Bend them out, give them a bit of a hit with the hammer if you want to keep it nice and straight. And then once you've got all three tabs bent out on the front of your crate, grab your hammer and give the inside of the crate a few taps and the front will fold down nice and easy. Now this will reveal our very securely wrapped laser, which we need to take a sharp knife to and just carefully cut away the plastic without cutting into your laser components. Next, we're going to relocate all of our components right next to where we are going to install the laser. So I've got our control box there. Next, we're going to move our motorized tower carefully on top of our base plate. Next, we have our pencil case full of goodies and tools that we need to assemble our laser and all the accessories. So first, we have the foot pedal. You can also put this on your bench and activate it by hand. And next we have our manual tower winder with the little keyway pin. Don't lose that. This is if you want to manually operate your laser for any reason. But we have the motorized tower, which is an amazing upgrade. Very affordable and highly recommended. There's a couple of aluminium guides or jigs or fences that you can bolt down to your base plate. There's also a spare optical sensor for your motorized tower, just in case you have a failure, you can get back up and running straight away. A nice included bonus there. And we have a quality pair of safety glasses, definitely required to operate your laser safely. Do not operate your laser without the required safety glasses. But these are included as well in the package. Next, we have our power cable. This screws into the back of your control box and then into your mains outlet. So that's the power cable. You need one of those. Next, we have a set of hex or Allen keys to help assemble your laser, especially the tower that we'll do shortly. There's a USB with all the required calibration files. You need to upload your laser to Lightburn and some extra bonuses as well. We have some aluminium business cards, a nice packet here to do some testing on, a nice little bonus to get you started straight away on your new fiber laser. You also get an RS-232 cable. This is just to check for any issues with the laser source in the future, so keep that aside. Hopefully you won't need that. This small white ceramic block, don't throw that out. You'll need that if you ever replace your laser source. It helps with alignment. We've got the spare lens cover that goes to the lens already installed into your galvo head, and a small packet of hex or Allen key bolts for your tower and also for the 2 fences that come with your laser. So pop those aside for now. And last but not least, we have some paperwork. We've got our fiber laser user manual. Have a quick read of this. It's got some specifications in there, how to use the controls, and a bit about your laser. So get to know your laser, have a read of that, and our JPT laser source test sheet. Keep this aside in case you ever sell your machine as well. Now let's get on to permanently mounting our tower to our laser base plate or bed. Grab the correct size Allen or hex key bolts and insert 4 of these into the corresponding holes into your tower. Next, grab the hex keys that came in the box and take them out of the packaging. The one you need is clipped onto the spring-loaded holder. Just pop it out like this. Now loosely hand tighten all 4 hex bolts, but don't go too hard just yet. We're actually going to grab a square and check that the tower is sitting perfectly square to the base plate. Grab a good quality square like this, something accurate and solid. You want to make sure everything lines up perfectly. This one's slightly off at the moment, so we'll square it up as we tighten down each bolt. I'm just moving the tower ever so slightly until it lines up with the square. Okay, so that's all 4 bolts tightened down and our tower is perfectly square to the bed. So we'll just go and double check all the bolts are really tight. We don't want this moving at all. Next, carefully unwrap the galvo head and top components, being careful not to damage it with your blade. And there it is. What a beauty. And don't forget to remove the lens cap. If you leave it on, you'll burn straight through it and wonder why the laser isn't working. Now peel off the protective layer from the control box, and then we're going to prepare and connect all the cables and accessories. This one's your USB cable that goes to your computer. Just cut the cable ties holding it together and set that aside. Now this cable that comes from the other end of your laser, this is for your motorized tower. This plugs into the Z motor origin on the back of your control box. Now you will need a screwdriver to properly secure this in place so it doesn't pull out. You will need a Phillips head screwdriver or a flathead. I'm opting for a small Phillips head screwdriver. They don't have to be tight, just firm enough so your cable doesn't accidentally pull out. Next we have the foot pedal. It uses a 2-pin G16 connector. You can place it on the floor and activate your laser and framing with your foot. You can also place it on the bench and tap it with your hand, or you can even swap it out for a button and mount it somewhere if that suits you better. So there's our 2-pin connector. This plugs into our foot pedal, clearly labelled on the back of the machine. Plug it in and screw the connector on nice and tightly. Now the yellow and green wire we're not going to use. We've already got a ground wire on our mains plug. So this here is our mains plug. It's got the ground connector already built in. So all we need to do is line up the pins or notches push it in and tighten the screw connector. So again, your main power line connector is clearly labeled on the bottom of your control box. So make sure you do this up nice and tight. This is the main power supply for your laser. Okay, we've found a nice spot right next to our UV laser for the fiber laser control box, and also in between our CO2 laser. Wherever you place your control box, make sure there's enough space around it so the cooling fans can work properly. Also keep it well away from your engraving area to avoid dust and debris getting into the vents. That's the hard part done. Now the laser is all set up and ready to go. And you also get a stainless steel ruler for setting focus height if you don't have a focus stick yet. And now it's time to install the hand wheel. This is used for manual tower movement if you ever need it. Grab the keyway pin, the one you weren't meant to lose, and slot it into the shaft at the top of the tower. Now take your hand wheel and line it up so the keyway matches the pin. Once that's slotted on, find the hex bolt with the large spacer and fit it through the wheel and screw it down onto the shaft. Once you've done that, turn the wheel to check it moves the tower smoothly, and this one surely does. But I won't need that hopefully because this tower is motorized. All right, let's get the laser running by loading the settings from the included USB drive. We're using Lightburn today, highly recommended. You can also run multiple lasers from it with no fuss. On the control box, we've got the emergency stop button, which also acts as the main power switch. Turn it clockwise to release, and this powers up the main breaker. Next, switch on the scan head and then the fiber laser source. It also does no harm to the laser by turning these on from a remote power source either all at once, such as a Wi-Fi power adapter. Next, we'll unwrap our included lenses, very well packaged as well. This should be, the 200mm lens, probably the one that I'm going to use the most. It's very universal. First, we have to remove the lens caps. You've got one on each side, top and bottom. 1064 wavelength for fiber. So I'll show you how to swap your lenses over. Make sure you remove both lens caps. So just the bottom of the lens housing, unscrew the old lens anti-clockwise. Be very careful it doesn't fall out of the lens holder. This is the 110mm lens. We're going to swap it over with the 200, which simply screws in clockwise to the lens holder in your laser galvo head. So do it up firmly, not too tight, and that's it. Your lens has been swapped over. Make sure you package your other lens away nice and securely. And we've got another lens included, which is the 300mm lens. This will get us the widest engraving possible with the amount of space we have. We'll just double check this is the correct lens by taking off the lens cap, and yes, it's an f430mm, which is the focal distance of a 300mm lens, except this laser measures from underneath the galvo head, so it's a little bit more. All right, now we can head back to Lightburn and install all three of our lenses. Click on devices. This will open up a window. You'll see your current device list of lasers. We need to click on create manually. So click that button right there. This will bring up the new device wizard. Now we need to scroll down a bit until you find JCZ Fiber. Click on that to highlight it and then click next. Now we need to install the included files from our USB drive by clicking import EasyCAD config. So make sure your USB drive is installed to your computer. Click on import and then find your USB drive down here. And we've got our three lens folders. We're going to start with our 100mm folder. Click on that. Scroll down to EasyCAD 2, double click on that, and then double click on plug. Now you'll find our Mark Config 7 file. Double click on that. This will bring up all our parameters. Just check your settings are correct. This is a 100mm lens, which matches the field size. And these are the rest of the calibration settings that Lightburn will use to run our new device, which is our laser with the 100mm lens. So go down and click on next. This will give you a chance to label your new device, which is pretty much your lens. If you've only got one lens, we can call it 60-watt fiber laser. If you've got multiple lenses, pop your lens size in there as well. We'll do that with the next one. Then click finish, and that's it. Now we can install the other two lenses. So create manually, JCZ fiber, import EasyCAD config. Go down to your USB drive. Next we'll do 200mm lens. Double click on that. Scroll down to EasyCAD 2. Double click on that. Double click on plug, and then double click on mark config 7. Double check we've got the correct field size, which is our 200mm lens, which is correct. Don't worry about the rest of the settings. Click next. Now we're going to label this one 60-watt Mopa and 200mm, which is our lens size. Now we'll go through that quickly again. Create manually, JCZ fiber, import EasyCAD config, find your USB drive, and now we'll do our 300mm lens, EasyCAD 2, plug, and then double click on mark config 7. Double check it's the correct field size, 300mm. Next. Now we'll label this one 60-watt Mopa 300mm. And then click on next. And that's all three lenses installed. So this is our field size down here. I think you can play around with that, but we'll keep that at 300mm, which is really our maximum field size. There we go. We've got all three lenses installed into Lightburn, and our laser is ready to give a test run. But first, let's just relabel our 100mm lens to 60-watt Mopa 100mm. Now we've got all of our lenses correctly labeled. They will be super easy to find in our device list. 1, 2, and 3. Let's press OK and close that window. Go down to your devices in Lightburn, and we'll select our 60-watt Mopa 200mm lens. Now it's time to do our first ever test run with our new laser straight out of the box with our included settings. Let's just run some simple text. We'll pick a font that's reasonably bold. We'll make that a bit larger. Now we don't have any material testing done or settings for this fiber laser at the moment. So I'm just going to use a random setting from my other fiber laser. Let's do some stainless steel testing. So we'll just pick our general engraving setting, which is probably going to be way too powerful since this laser is a 60 watt. I think these settings are from my 30-watt fiber laser. So let's set up a scrap piece of stainless steel. We just want to see if this laser marks correctly. So we'll go ahead and click frame. And that's our contour frame. We'll just line up our piece of stainless steel. But now we also need to set the focus height. So for a 200mm lens, it needs to be 336mm from the underside of the galvo head. This motorized Z-axis makes the job really easy. No more standing up and manually winding, but it's there just in case you want or need to use it. Now I haven't got a permanent focus stick cut yet, so we'll just use our ruler and measure down 336mm. Again, the motorized tower makes this job really easy. So 336mm from the underside of the galvo head. I do prefer to measure from under the lens because you're directly under your workpiece. So make sure you've got the proper safety equipment. These glasses are included, proper fiber laser glasses, 1064 wavelength. So make sure you wear those. Now let's line up our stainless steel and hit start. And we've got some laser action. So yes, certainly a bit too powerful for stainless steel, but we're getting a beautiful marking there. Nice and burnt, which means we've got plenty of power. Look at that 60-watt Mopa fiber laser go. All right, now we do have some included settings on our USB drive. I'll show you how to load those up. 60-watt Mopa 200mm lens in a material library. So go down to load, and then go back to your USB drive like we did before. Click on your lens. At the moment, we need the 100mm lens installed. So let's go down to marking settings for different materials. In there, you'll find a small Lightburn library to get you started. Double click on that, C or B, and now we've got our 100mm lens material library installed. So this will give you some fantastic starting settings to get you on your way with your new fiber laser. And now when you go down and change devices, we'll go back to our 200mm lens. This will coincide with your 200mm lens material library. And there's all our settings for our 200mm. We've even got some colors on stainless steel, which you can also add to. We've got black on aluminium. And we can duplicate that, come up with some different settings, edit the cut, and then just keep adding to that list when you find some new great settings for your laser. So we'll go back to our 300mm lens. We've already installed that one as well. So we've got all three lenses with a bit of a material library. And if you want to rename it, we'll go do 60-watt Mopa 300mm. So we know that all of these settings are just for our 300mm lens. Then we'll click save. There we go, renamed. Now we've got all three material libraries to get us started. So this is my focus stick that I'm going to make on my CO2 gantry. Just like that, and this will make the job super easy to focus each lens rather than using a ruler. So 474mm from under your galvo head. But like I said, I do prefer to measure underneath of the lens because it's more direct from the laser to the item that you're engraving. So I measure from right under here to my workpiece. Super accurate, only cost a couple of dollars. And I've got a little space up here for my focus sticks for each lens. Super handy. You can make these out of acrylic or wood, even metal. So now we've got our material setting for black on stainless. Let's see how good it does. That's coming up beautiful. Look at that, a nice dark black on stainless steel. An excellent setting to get you started. And there you have it, a full walkthrough for getting your new BWM Fiber laser set up and running. From unboxing straight out of the crate, assembling it with no issues at all, installing your lenses and motorized tower, loading your lens kits, installing the required software in Lightburn, and then finishing with your first test run. Just an absolute brilliant machine, a seriously impressive piece of gear.